Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
I push that weight to get that dough, but I don't break cause I've been broke. If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came in to run it and bet if I had to, I'd do it again. It ain't no race if I don't win. I push that weight to get that dough, but I don't break cause I've been broke. If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came in to run it and bet if I had to, I'd do it again. It ain't no race if I don't win. Trust I'm coming up for that top spot, coming up for that throne. Trust I'm coming up for that drop top, coupe sitting on.
Hey, what's good, Grind Alliance? Welcome to a brand new episode of The Grind. I'm your host, Korrey, and this is the place where we talk about all things wrestling. And before we get into today's show, I want to encourage you all, please follow Sertoba Media, Sirtoba, on all social media platforms. You can catch The Grind at The Grind Media 19 on most of your platforms. Specifically, you'll see those at the end of the episode. And also, you can catch The Grind every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, the time can vary depending on PLEs in life, but essentially 4 p.m. Eastern every single Saturday. Now, let's get into today's episode. On today's episode, I want to talk about something that is near and dear to me, something that has helped change or helped influence the way that I look and the way that I deal with wrestling. The way that I, growing up, fell in love with it, honestly, what got me so impassioned about wrestling. And it's the thing that at moments it seemed like it's on this rising climax, only to fall flat down again. And that is tag team wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong, since the Triple H era has started, Triple H has done a decent job with trying to revitalize the prestige of tag team wrestling. And historically, when you see many different tag teams like the Hart Foundation, the Mega Powers, the Wild Samoans, the Hardy Boys, Team 3D, Edge and Christian, there's so many different tag teams throughout the years who have become legendary for many different reasons. But today it seems like tag team wrestling just isn't hidden in the way that it should. So I want to start by talking about the 3 things that can help improve tag team wrestling on the men's side and the women's side. Now, let's jump into the women's side of the tag team division, which isn't really that, historic. It doesn't have a lot of age to it, but there has been some good moments. But overall, I feel like the women's tag team division, the tag team title scene, has been pretty dull. Now, we've been excited as fans to finally get those women tag team championships, and you see them throughout all of the territorial or the other wrestling companies that you'll see, TNA and Ring of Honor. I mean, so many different ones, but there is something up with this WWE one. It's just not hitting in the way that it should. So here's what I think could help take this women's tag division into a different stratosphere. What is going to bring prestige to the women's tag team division? Number one, I want to start with the most obvious thing. Real teams. Ever since the women's tag division has come together, all we have seen is this mixed match throw together, basically a mixed match challenge. I remember the mixed match challenge. It was for a good cause, but it was okay. But basically, it's just hey, let's just throw people together and see if they gel. Or they don't have a spot on TV. So let me try to get them into a tag team and just throw them on TV and just see what happens. Now, there's not to say there isn't some good tag teams. I mean, you had like the Kabuki Warriors, the Boss and Hug Connection. And I mean, even now, the current tag team champions, Jade and Bianca, are a good pairing. But what makes those titles feel more? right? What makes those titles feel like, oh, it's a brass ring that I need to reach? So, it's so much makeshift stuff going on with this women's tag division that you aren't able to build, credibility behind these teams. You're not able to build credibility behind these stars. And being that you can't build credibility, people don't have nothing to look forward to. It's basically just, hey, let's just throw this in here on the show. I mean, it's an afterthought. It doesn't have any substance to it. And I, for one, especially in today's world of wrestling, need to see that women's tag division elevate versus be denigrated. Now, it's not to say that they haven't had them on shows. They had them on PLEs, but have we ever really seen the women's tag team titles defended in a main event, and deservedly so, be in that main event scene? I think that we need to get some real teams. We need to have some people with, years of history together. People who gel very well. And I mean gel very well. I mean like tag team moves, maybe even a team name, not just matching gears, a theme song for both of them. Even Jade and Bianca, they still come out separately. And it's like, we can't do the stuff that we used to do back in the day with mashups. With all the technology we have now, we can't figure out a way to put their two songs together or create something that is just for their tag team. We got to do something better, WWE, with getting these tag teams together and have meaning behind why they are together. So I think number one, we need some real teams. So following number one, the second thing I have on this list is, if you get the real teams, you can build storylines. Storylines are the key to wrestling. You could be the greatest performer. You can get out there and put on a 40-minute Iron Man match and everything is beautiful. But if you don't know how to tell a story leading up to and during and even after the match takes place, then, I mean, what's the purpose? What's the purpose? The women's tag division is always this mixed scramble of people that's just been thrown together, and they jump in and say, hey, I want next, or I want next, or I want next, or I deservedly so. And, it gets really just tiring. It gets, to that point where we just don't care. Honestly, it's just there. It's cool to see our favorite athletes fighting over something, but it doesn't really have meaning. It doesn't feel like it has meaning. And this is something that Sasha and Bayley, that, from information that I know, it could be more, behind the scenes, they fought to get these women's tag team titles into fruition, into a place where WWE can help elevate women, and WWE have been lackluster on ensuring that there are proper storylines behind this division, or this section, this sector of the women's division. I remember growing up, at the height of, wrestling was Jeff and Matt Hardy, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Team 3D. I mean, you had so many different teams and had so many dope moments, so many dope matches. Brothers of Destruction. I mean, the Rock and Sock connection. We had so many different teams that when they came together, sometimes it seemed odd, but it ended up working. There were storylines behind these tag titles, and everybody was chasing them in a way that was meaningful. Not just, hey, I'm here, I want a shot. Come on. We can do better than this. The women's tag division needs storylines. We need a storyline that's just brutal. We need a storyline that is brutal. We need a storyline that talks to the fields, that talks to the importance of these tag titles. Another thing too is that they need a longer reign. We need somebody to have a longer reign, and not just have a longer reign with the tag titles, but have a longer reign that means something. Storylines, real meaningful storylines along the way that can help take those titles to the next level. So the second thing on my list is to make sure that we get storylines. Triple H, get with your writers, get with those people that you trust, and get into that room and create some storylines for these women. They deserve that. They deserve that. The third thing that I feel that can ascend the women's tag division is something that Triple H did for the men, but failed to do for the women. And to be honest with y'all, I got a real problem with that. How do we take the men's tag titles with those blue and red straps that was egregious, give the men brand new tag titles on both shows, but we don't give the women new tag titles? Make it make sense. How do we give the men new tag titles, but we don't give it to the women? I don't understand it. They need new titles. Those titles are outdated, they are old, and they have a negative energy attached to them due to the older regime before you took over Triple H, and they need a makeover. They need to have a different level of importance, and you can do that by giving it a splash of a look. Give it something new. Give it something innovative. Give it something that says we value our women. And even then, once we start to grow this and we start to get more actual teams, more storylines, you can do it just like the men and have a women's world tag team championship and a WWE women's tag team championship. Those women deserve equal opportunities as the men, point blank, period. And all I want to know is, what can the men do in wrestling that the women can't do in wrestling? We ain't talking about no other sports. No other sports. If you say something about basketball, I ain't got nothing to say. You say something about football, I ain't got nothing to say. And it's not to say that there isn't any women that can't do it. Don't get me wrong. But let's be real. In wrestling, these women can do flips. They do table spots. They can do high risk maneuvers. They have power. They are strong. So why aren't we really just diving into this? I feel like there needs to be somebody that needs to be focused, locked in on the women's division. Right now, it feels dull. And we have to figure out a way to elevate this thing. Get it to the next level. I'm pretty sure they're probably waiting on Netflix to be able to start doing some things. And what I don't want to happen is that we get on Netflix and we start to regress. We go back to those stupid bra and panty matches and over-sexualizing our women. They are athletes who deserve their shine, and we need to make sure we put them in proper positions. And in order to say that we value you, you're worthy, you're an integral part of this, give them new tag titles. We even did a new Women's World Championship and a new WWE Women's Championship, but we did nothing with the tag titles. Scrap the old, in with the new, and give it to Jade and Bianca. Give it to them right now. Let them be the ones that can put some prestige on those championships. Jade still needs some work so she can be a quality singles competitor. She's standing right there with Bianca. Bianca has done it all at this point. And they can really build something to help the other new and upcoming women, because I'm telling you now, have y'all seen NXT lately? That NXT women's roster is untouchable. The talent that they have up and down that roster is insane. And before they get just thrown into the fire of the main roster, we need to fix the main roster women's division first. So that's it, y'all. That is the 3 things that I feel as if we can do. So that's it, y'all. That's the 3 things that I feel WWE can do to raise the women's tag team division and the women's division overall. Honestly, we need to put some real work in WWE. We need to scrap what is old and let's start anew. Now, I appreciate you all joining in on today's episode. I would like to hear your thoughts and your opinions. What do you think? Share 1, 2, or even like me, come up with 3 things. What do you think can elevate the women's tag division right now in WWE? But I appreciate you all spending a little bit of time with me on this Saturday. I hope you all get out, have a good time, spend time with your family. And always remember, stay true to what you do, stay true to why you do, and stay true to you. I'll see you all in the next episode when we talk about the 3 things that can help get this men's tag team division out of stagnation. See y'all next week. Be safe out there. I'm out.
I push that weight to get that goal, but I don't break 'cause I've been wrong.